Hello, I'm Alan, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. It is the next to last day. We are going from Brattleboro, Vermont, through New Hampshire, into Burlington, Massachusetts. That's right, 2 state line crossings today. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Well, without further ado, let's ride. All right, so we actually have 2 state line crossings in this video. We crossed into New Hampshire, and then from New Hampshire into Massachusetts. I am coming up on the Vermont-New Hampshire border here, and so I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're coming up on the New Hampshire state line. We just left the hotel in Vermont, and stopping so soon after starting just caused a whole bunch of people to ask me, "Are you all right?" Yes, I am fine. Just want to document the state line crossing properly. So, Peyton scouted it out this morning. Unfortunately, there is no sign when we cross into New Hampshire. The border is when we cross over the river. And so, when I cross the river, I'm going to stop and change back to time-lapse mode. But for now, we are still in Vermont, and we will soon be in New Hampshire. This is state line crossing number 13. We're going into our 14th state. I'm not going to go through the whole recap again. I went through it yesterday and messed it up. I'll probably mess it up if I try it again today. Oh, just to my left is the Brattleboro bicycle shop. And just waiting for a green light so that I can get going and move as close to the side. Here we go. So that the traffic behind me can get past, because there's a bit of it. And it looks like we've got a left turn coming up. So I'm taking it nice and easy. The car behind me is turning right. Looks like it's down this hill and a left on Bridge Street. We've got a flashing red. There's Bridge Street, making sure it's clear. And there's the bridge. There's the border. Got to go over the railroad tracks also. No cars are behind me. And we are crossing into New Hampshire. Woohoo! One more state to go! So unfortunately, as it turned out, both of my state line crossings today were a little bit anticlimactic. The first one was so because there was no welcome to New Hampshire sign. And the second one was because the state line crossing wasn't loaded in the GPS as a waypoint, and so it kind of snuck up on me. I was coming down a hill, going at a pretty decent clip, and, well, you'll see it in a little bit. But when I came up on the state line crossing, I was like, oh, there's the sign. A number of people in the group did get pictures with the Welcome to New Hampshire sign. And when I saw the pictures posted, I thought, well, wow, wait a second. How did I miss the sign? And so I asked the question and found out that they actually, well, I don't know if cheated is the right word, but the sign that they posed with was not the sign when we crossed into New Hampshire. What they did was, when we crossed into Massachusetts, they then turned around and went to the other side of the road where the Welcome to New Hampshire sign was. So their sign for Welcome to New Hampshire and Welcome to Massachusetts were actually at the same state line crossing. So I don't think well, maybe I'll include a Welcome to New Hampshire sign in my blog post, but I will disclose that it was actually the same state line crossing. So in any event, today's ride was a relatively long one. It was also a very hot one. It wasn't quite as hot as yesterday, but it sure felt like it. To me anyway. We did start, we were supposed to start at 7 a.m. The scheduled start time for today was 7 a.m. and 7:15 a.m., but pretty much everybody was going to start at 7 a.m., and then for whatever reason, actually not for whatever reason, there were issues with the sign-out sheet, which caused us to have our briefing delayed by about 7-8 minutes, something like that. So by the time we actually departed, it was about 7:11. So we did have sort of a mass depart at 7:11. At the start, Strava said it was raining. It was not raining at the start. It actually did not rain at any point during today's ride. So I'm going to say it was cloudy. The temperature was 70 degrees Fahrenheit with a feels like temperature of 73 degrees Fahrenheit. And the humidity was 97%. Wow. Anyway, the wind was 2.2 miles per hour from the south. So we had a little bit of a headwind in the morning. I think it did shift to a little bit of a tailwind by the end, but it wasn't a significant wind, or at least I don't remember it being one. Again, the most significant part of the weather was the heat and humidity. At the end of the ride, it was partly cloudy. It was 95 degrees Fahrenheit with a feels like temperature of 104. In terms of the length of today's ride, it was 91.06 miles, and I had an average moving speed of 14.3 miles per hour and a maximum speed of 37.8 miles per hour. My total moving time was 6 hours, 21 minutes, 22 seconds, and my elapsed time was 7 hours, 14 minutes, 10 seconds. My average heart rate was 117 beats per minute, and my max heart rate was 141. According to Garmin and Strava, I burned 1,934 calories. I had an average cadence of 67 RPM and a maximum cadence of 108 RPM. In terms of elevation gain, today was one of those days where I think we actually gained more elevation than what we were forecast to gain. According to Strava, I gained 5,010 feet. According to Garmin, I gained 4,977 feet. As you may know, Strava is map data Garmin is barometric data. And according to Ride with GPS's prediction, I was supposed to gain 4,612 feet. I had a total of 22,888 pedal strokes and an average power output of 115 watts. Today was definitely a climbing day. We had a total of 9 Garmin climbs, and of them, 8 of the 9 were in the first half of the ride. In any event, I'm coming up on the Massachusetts line, so I'll be right back. Well, that snuck up on me. I was hoping to record my state line crossing, but there's the sign, welcome to Massachusetts. I was coming down the road and I saw it, and so it does call for a song, of course. This was the closest one I could find. I've got the lyrics out. It's been such a long time, I think I should be going, yeah. But time doesn't wait for me, it keeps on rolling. Sail on a distant highway, yeah. I've got to keep on chasing that dream. I've got to be on my way. I wish there was something I could say. Well, I'm taking my time, I'm just moving along. You'll forget about me after I've been gone, and I take what I find, I don't want no more. It's just outside of your front door. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been such a long time. It's been such a long time. It's been since May 5th, so that is a long time. Anyway, that was state line crossing number 14. We are entering our 15th state, 15th and final state. Soon I will be getting to Boston, and tomorrow is the wheel dip. Woohoo! So those Garmin climbs, the first one was at 7.89 miles in. It was 0.44 miles in length, 118 feet of elevation with an average gradient of 5%. The second one was 10.3 miles in, 0.8 miles in length, 157 feet of elevation, and an average gradient of 3%. The third one was 18.4 miles in, 2.66 miles in length, 594 feet of elevation, average gradient was 4%. The fourth one was 22.8 miles in, it was 0.6 miles in length, 200 feet of elevation, average gradient of 6%. The fifth one was 24.4 miles in, 0.99 miles in length, 194 feet of elevation, with an average gradient of 3%. The sixth one was 28.7 miles in. It was 0.33 miles in length, 138 feet of elevation, average gradient of 7%. The seventh climb was 31.5 miles in, 0.53 miles in length, elevation gain of 151 feet at an average gradient of 5%. The eighth Garmin climb came at 35.8 miles in, 0.7 miles in length, 180 feet of elevation, average gradient was 4%. And the ninth climb, those first 8 climbs were all within the first 36 miles. The ride length was 91 miles, so that's much less than, well, not much less, but it is significantly less than half of the ride. And then after that first half of the ride, there was only one Garmin climb left, which started at 71.5 miles in. It was 0.56 miles in length with an elevation gain of 177 feet at an average gradient of 6%. One thought that I did have on today's ride was it was really, really hot. As a matter of fact, by the end, I felt absolutely cooked. I did take on one ice sock at the second sag because I thought I felt pretty good going into the first sag. The interesting thing was yesterday I had that observation about feeling like I was wearing a wet diaper after the ice sock. Well, on this ride, I did not take on an ice sock until the second sag. And well before I got to that point, I was absolutely drenched. So I don't know how much of it was due to the ice sock and how much was just due to sweating yesterday. But I will say that after I did take on that ice sock, I did get significantly more soaked, including my shoes getting soaked. So once again, I'm using the shoe dryers tonight to dry out my shoes for tomorrow. Along the ride, towards the end, I was riding along with Dana, and he tried to start up a conversation with me about the beautiful houses in the area. And I didn't say it, but my thought was, houses? There's houses around here? Because I had such a case of get-there-itis that I was not paying attention to anything at that point. I was just ready to be done. In terms of where we rode, as I mentioned, we did have 2 state line crossings. We started in Brattleboro, Vermont. We very shortly crossed into New Hampshire and rode into Hinsdale, New Hampshire. Then we rode through Ashwaubenon, Winchester, Richmond, Fitzwilliam, Rindge, which was where I believe the SAG stop was. We then had the state line crossing into Massachusetts, which snuck up on me. We rode into Ashby, Massachusetts, and then rode through West Townsend, Groton, Graniteville, Westford, South Helmsford, Woods Corner, and finally into Burlington. Tomorrow's ride is an exciting one. It's one that I have been building towards this whole time, and that is we are riding from Burlington, Massachusetts to Revere Beach, Massachusetts for our wheel dip. You may recall, or you can always go back and watch it, but on the first riding day of the trip, I dipped my back wheel in the Pacific Ocean. Well, since then, I have rotated my tires. So the tire that was on the back wheel is now on the front wheel. My original plan was to dip the front wheel in the Atlantic, but I feel like I'll be shortchanging myself if I do that because that tire's already been dipped, and so I plan to dip both tires in the Atlantic. Anyway, that's all for now. I can't believe I filled in all of that time. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I made it, and look who I found.
What's up?
Or should I say, look who found me. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is Teresa, my girlfriend, and I am here in Burlington. Today was the last hard day of the tour, and so until next time, stay safe out there.